Hi, welcome to Women Created and Called Live. I am so happy to be here with you. This is the place for women who want to conquer their fear of failure so that you can finally follow through with God's plan for your life. And this is episode 8. You might want a Christian life coach if... and we'll get into all those ifs in a little bit here. First, I wanted to let you know, in case you didn't know, that this is International Coach Week. And so it's a time to bring awareness to life coaching, and just a chance to celebrate all the coaches out there and celebrate the work that they're doing in the world, and the difference that they're making in people's lives and the transformation that is happening because of the work that they're doing. And also to celebrate those of you who have hired a life coach. It is not, I just want to celebrate you because that is something that is not an easy thing to do. I mean, it's easy, the process is easy, sure, but it takes courage is what I mean. And so I want to celebrate you for taking a stand for yourself and your own transformation. And if you hired a Christian life coach, kudos to you for recognizing that God is the one who actually makes the change in your life. So I just wanted to let you know, let you know that that's happening this week, because in this episode, we're going to be shining a spotlight on the value of a coach, and in our case, especially a Christian life coach. And near the end of this episode, coming up, I will share my own experience with life coaching and what that has been like for me. And so you can look forward to that. But first, let's talk about you. You might want a Christian life coach if. So here are some of the ifs. That's where we're starting today. If you feel restless and you're taking it out on the people around you, especially the people that you love, there's some kind of a restlessness inside of you, and you're not quite sure what that is, but it can show up with aggravation. It can show up as frustration. It can show up as anxiety. It can show up lots of different ways in your life. And very often we end up taking it out on the people around us. And I forgot to mention at the beginning of the show, we are so excited. My firstborn, my daughter, who I love so much, is home from college as of very late last night. So if you hear any background noise, she's cooking in the kitchen right now. So it's very possible that you may hear a little bit. And if you do, well, we're rolling with it. And that's what's happening. So now you know. Getting back to our list. If you might want a Christian life coach if you are trying to do God's will in your life and you're afraid that maybe you're getting it wrong. You might want a Christian life coach if you ever think, I never imagined my life would be this way. Or I never imagined that this was how my life would go. It's kind of like you wake up one day and you look around and you're like, this is not what I expected. So a life coach would be very helpful for you. Or maybe you're thinking, I was secretly hoping my life would be very different, that everything would turn out great and I would be happy. And you're looking around and you're thinking, that's just not what I'm seeing. It's not the life that I'm experiencing right now. So a Christian life coach would be very helpful for you in that case also. You might want a Christian life coach if you ever wonder why you don't do what you want to do And instead, you do the things that you don't want to do. You do the opposite. Did you catch all of that? You don't do what you want to do, but instead you do the opposite. You do what you don't want to do. Don't worry, you're not alone. Even St. Paul struggled with this. You can find that in, I believe it's Romans 7. You might want a Christian life coach if you feel like you need to fix yourself before things will finally go right in your life, and the things in your life will finally fall into place. You feel like you got to fix yourself first in order for those things to happen. That would be a great thing to work out with a coach. If you might want a Christian life coach if you wonder who you are outside of fill in the blank, whatever your vocation is. Maybe it's outside of being a wife and mother. Maybe it's outside of being, whatever your job is in your career. Maybe it's outside of, being a caretaker. Any of these things that is part of your identity, or it's what you do, but you wonder, who are you outside of that? Another great thing to work through with a coach. You might want a Christian life coach if you think, I should have it all together by now. I should have it all together by now. This should be going differently by now. And sometimes we start to think, what's wrong with me? If I don't have it figured out, what's wrong with me? You might want a Christian life coach if you fear that you're doing it wrong when it comes to parenting, and you worry that you're messing up your kids' lives. I have heard this before. And what is so interesting is I kind of feel like I hear this more from, I was about to say I hear this more from young parents, but I'm not quite sure that's true, because I've also heard it from parents who have their children have already moved out. They're adults now, and maybe the thought changes a little bit. In that case, maybe it's like, I did a bad job of raising them, and that's why they're struggling so much in life now. So it's a little twist on the same thought, a little variation on it. You might want a Christian life coach if you constantly judge yourself and beat yourself up about your past mistakes. You might want a Christian life coach if you appear to have a pretty great life on the outside, but inside you struggle with comparison and feeling like you're not enough. Maybe you feel like you need to live up to some standard and you feel like you're missing the mark. You are not living up to some standard that either you have set for yourself or others have set, and you just feel like you're just not cutting it. You might want a Christian life coach if you already enjoy a successful life, but you feel that God is calling you to more. And that is always an interesting one, because I feel like God is always calling us to more. Really, we're never going to be a finished product on this side of heaven. He is constantly working on creating us into his masterpiece. And so there is always another level. There's always more. So if you are in a great place, what's your next level? There is one, I promise you. Because I've heard this phrase before, if we're not, how's that go? If we're not busy growing, we're busy dying. There's no such thing as staying still. So we'll leave that one at that. You might want a Christian life coach if you have a God-sized dream on your heart, but you struggle to make any significant progress toward that dream becoming a reality. A Christian life coach can absolutely help with that, because if you have a God-sized dream, that means that you realize that this dream is so big that you can't do it on your own. And that's okay, because usually when God is calling us to something, He is not meaning for us to go it alone, ever. Not only does He want us to fully rely on Him, but He also puts people in place in our lives to help us and support us along the way toward whatever He is calling us to. So that's the list that I have. Of course, there's more reasons that you might want a Christian life coach, but that's what I've got today. And here's how a Christian life coach can help with those things. And these are sort of general ways that they can help, but literally because of these pieces that are part of Christian life coaching, it can apply to whatever you are wanting to work on. And we're going to even talk about even more. I have a whole list of things that you can, additional things that you can work on with a life coach. So, how a Christian life coach can help. First, they can help you start with a good foundation, and that is looking at where are you right now. And there is a great tool you may have heard of. It's called the Life Wheel, and there's different variations of it, but basically it's a wheel that is divided up into, I think it's often 8 pieces, if you think of pie pieces, and it helps you look at and evaluate 8 different areas of your life. So for example, I don't know if I can name all 8, but for example, it would include your spirituality and self-development. It would include your family and friends. It would, relationships with them. It would include your health and wellness. And you can also include in that your mental health, of course. It's both mental and physical and emotional health. Another one would be career or vocation, your career or your vocation. Another one would be your committed relationship. So in your marriage, or, if you're a religious, how is your relationship within your vocation, within your religious vocation? Another one would be finances, I believe would be one of them. Anyway, I'm not sure how many that was, but that gives you an idea of, that you're looking at these maybe 8 different areas of your life. And what you're doing is you are giving it a rating of how satisfied you are in that area of your life. And what this does is it helps you, like I said, assess where you are right now, and then think about, okay, well, what would need to happen if I said that this area is a 6, what would need to happen in that area of my life for it to be a 10? 10 being the best. So a Christian life coach can help walk you through that assessment process to get a really good idea of where you are right now. The next way that a Christian life coach can help is they can help you get to know the change agent. And I mentioned this at the beginning of this episode, that really God is the one who makes the change in your life. And so there are 2 keys to lasting change. And the first one is seeing yourself exactly as God sees you. That is the first key to lasting change. And I always use this actually as a definition for true humility. Real, authentic humility is seeing yourself exactly as God sees you, no more and no less. And a life coach really can help you do that, because sometimes we have so many beliefs that replay over and over in our head. It's thoughts that have replayed so often that they become a solidified belief. And it might not be true. It might be that that is not actually how God sees you. And so a life coach can help you discover what are you believing, and then help you examine those thoughts and hold them up to God's truth. And the second key to lasting change is knowing how that change actually happens. Like I already mentioned, it's God that does the actual change, creates the change in us, and how you can do your part. So what I mean by this is it's God's grace that is the change agent. And then how can you do your part to cooperate with that grace? And so a Christian life coach can help you see where your role is in all of this. And you have a pretty big role to play in your own transformation. Again, you're not the one that is the change agent, but it takes your cooperation, and you're the one choosing the actions. And so it's a partnership for sure. The next way that a Christian life coach can help with these different areas of life is to help you understand your real identity. And I already mentioned, authentic humility, and it's very similar to that. But your true identity is knowing both who you are and whose you are. And again, looking at those beliefs about what are you believing about yourself and what are you believing about God. And so again, a Christian life coach can help you really understand your true identity. And why is that important to really know who we are? And I'll tell you, it's because God has made you marvelous and unique and unrepeatable. And the reason that He made you unique and unrepeatable is because you have a specific purpose in your life. There is some job that's just specifically for you, and you are uniquely equipped for it. And by giving you the equipment to do that job, you are literally God's gift to the world. And if you don't know who you actually are, your true identity, then the world is missing out on the real you. You are made to be a gift. And so it's important to know what gift you have to give the world. So that is where a Christian life coach can help with that identity piece. And I just mentioned equipment. A Christian life coach can help you know the equipment that you are dealing with. And this is both natural equipment and supernatural equipment. So when I say natural equipment, I'm talking about the gifts that have been literally put into you when you were created, and the strengths. So I love to talk about and explore these in the context of our spiritual gifts, and also if you've ever heard of the Clifton Strengths Finder. It's a very helpful tool to understand your natural strengths. So I call those the natural equipment. And then your supernatural equipment is God's grace that is available to you in every moment of every day. And literally with these two put together, you have everything that you need to do God's will in every moment of every day. And think about how empowering that is to know that you have exactly what you need. No matter what storms are brewing around you, you've got what you need. The next area that a Christian life coach can support you with is focus. So many of us there are so many distractions in our world. So we get distracted with social media. We get distracted with other kinds of media. We get distracted with just general busyness. It's incredible how busy our lives are. And when we are that busy, it can be hard to focus on what is really a priority for your life. What's important to you? What is God calling you to right now? Are you making that a priority in your life? Do you even know what it is? So focus, the way that a coach can help with focus is they can help you zero in and discover, give you a direction is a great way to put it, so that you're not spinning in confusion and staying stuck, and you can actually learn to discern where God is calling you. The next area where a Christian life coach can help is they can help you find your blind spots and obstacles. Now, when I say blind spots, it's because a coach notices and shows you things that you may not see on your own. So have you ever been saying something to someone? Maybe you're talking with a good friend and you are explaining a situation or something that happened, and you're feelings about this, about what happened. And do you ever, sometimes if a friend is really tuned in super well, occasionally, sometimes they can pick out something that you said that you don't even realize that you said about that situation. And if they just show you that, oh, this is what you're thinking, because that's what you just said, even though you don't even remember saying it, then they can point that out to you and just show you the way that you're thinking, and it can change your perspective completely. And you can think, oh, I didn't realize I was thinking of this situation in that way. Maybe I should consider this other thing instead. So that's a really general example. Sorry about being so general, but the truth is that it can be really hard to find friends who have that skill, who are listening so intently that they can actually pick out those things. Because the fact is, a lot of us, again, are distracted and busy, right? So in that way, a coach is extremely valuable because they are literally trained to do that, trained to actually listen in so intently that they can literally show you your mind, show you how you're thinking about your life, about different things that come up in your life, about different situations. And just doing that can help you shift and try a different direction if a shift is called for. So that is the blind spots area. It's things that you're not seeing, but a coach can see them and point them out to you. And then sometimes we have obstacles that come up, and at least we see them as obstacles to reasons why we are not making progress toward our goal, making progress toward, our big dreams, or it feels like this is what I'm encountering every single day, and there's just no way around it. So you might feel like you have a big obstacle in your life, and a life coach literally can help you navigate, I hesitate to say around those obstacles. First of all, you're going to see the obstacles that you might not see until you run smack into them. Or the reason I hesitate to say go around them is there's this phrase in coaching: the only way around is through. So sometimes we are seeing something as an obstacle, and the truth is the only way to get through that, to get past, this is the word I'm looking for, the only way to get past that obstacle is literally to buck up, say bye-bye to the fear that is present, or hello fear, I see you and I'm going to move forward anyway, and find your fortitude, know that you have all the equipment that you need, and go right through that obstacle. And that's the only way to get past it. And think about how that changes you. I don't know if maybe you haven't experienced this before in your life. I have more than once. And I gotta tell you, it changes you. That is where some of the transformation happens. The person that you become in order to get past those obstacles. It's incredible. I gotta tell you. Another way that a Christian life coach can help is they can offer accountability and commitment to follow through. Now, it can be hard to set goals and complete them, follow through with them. In fact, statistics show that most of us don't. Just look at any January of any year and you can see that. People set the goals and then they give them up before the end of the month. I saw a statistic somewhere and it said only about 8% of people actually set goals and follow through with them. Now, I tried to go back and find that statistic again because I don't know if that was just in the United States or what the specifics were of that. But still, think 8%. And there was another statistic that was right with it that said that 95% of people who use some sort of accountability system or person, 95% of people who use accountability when they are setting and working on their goals will actually follow through. Look at that, 8% or 95%. Which percentage do you want to be part of? I'd like to be part of the 95%, personally. So accountability and commitment to follow through is another way that a Christian life coach can help. So, as promised, this is a list that I found of things that you can work on with a Christian life coach. And I found this from christianlifecoaching.co.uk. And they said on there, you can discover your life purpose and walk in your destiny. You can restore balance to your life. You can get fresh perspectives on personal challenges and opportunities. You can enhance your thinking and decision-making skills. You can improve your effectiveness. You can build your confidence. You can deepen your walk with God. You can demolish mindsets that are holding you back. You can communicate more effectively. That one is huge because every single relationship that you have, demands good communication. No matter what is the nature of that relationship, it takes communication. So if you can learn to communicate more effectively, that in itself will change your life. You can improve your relationships. Oh, there it is. There it is. Goes hand in hand with the one before it. I didn't look ahead. Sorry about that. You can deal with weight, health, or fitness issues once and for all. You can develop an effective plan of action. You can see with eyes of faith and reach your dreams. You can learn how to hear God and be led by Him in all that you do. That, again, any of these on this list will change your life. That last one is really the root of everything. If we can learn to hear God and be led by Him in everything that we do. Life-changing. It's so true. So, in fact, any area of life where you want to see breakthrough and you would appreciate the support and accountability that working with a coach brings you, any area, this is where a Christian life coach can support you. Now, as promised at the beginning of this episode, I said that I would share my experience with life coaching. And so here we go. I sort of wrote it out, and I don't know that I've ever shared this about me, but sometimes when I am, they always say, oh, you shouldn't be reading, and I try so hard to speak directly to you because I am speaking from my heart all the time. And when I prepare for these episodes, very often it comes out of me in full sentences. And I don't want to just memorize what I have written because I want you to experience that it is authentic and it is coming from my heart. So, but that is the truth. It often comes out of me in full sentences, and sometimes I just write it, and it ends up being a little bit like I'm writing a letter to one of my best friends. That's you. In fact, I see that one of my very best friends is watching this live right now. Hello. And so I just wanted to let you know that, because I will probably read a lot of this because, once again, it came out as if it were a letter as if I were speaking to just one of you, but I just wanted to share my experience with coaching. So, what was the place that I was coming from? I was coming from a place, and I discovered this through some exercises of really looking back on my life and seeing patterns in my life. And I discovered that I was always trying to please others. I was trying to do what I should do, get the grades I should get, be the daughter, sister, wife, mother that I should be, for the sake of being accepted by others and proving my worth. Yeah, that feels heavy. Like a collection of masks, I wore identities that were not the woman that God has created and called me to be. Because deep down, I didn't believe that the real me would be accepted by others. I set very high standards and expectations for myself. And I didn't even write this down, but when I set those high expectations on myself, they very often bled over into expectations that I was placing on others, especially my family. And that doesn't make for a very great family dynamic. But then, big surprise, I had these high expectations for myself, and big surprise, I couldn't follow through perfectly. I could follow through a little bit, but not always, and I couldn't do it perfectly. And so then I would beat myself up, in my head with the self-talk for not getting it right. And it was an endless cycle. And I noticed this, like I said, I did these exercises to look back on my life, and I saw these patterns begin even at a very young age, which is amazing. It began there, and then it just continued and continued and continued into adult life. So it was an endless cycle. Then, through receiving coaching in leadership, in business, in mindset, and a whole lot of tearful moments in prayer, I discovered that what I was doing, my actions, were not always the problem. Sometimes they were, but not always. But it was that I was doing those actions for all the wrong reasons. And this kind of blew my mind when I discovered that sometimes the actions don't change, but my thoughts behind, who I am being in my thoughts and in my feelings before taking those actions creates a different result. And so that, like I said, that was really mind-blowing for me to discover that in myself. So what I was doing was not always the problem, but I was doing it for all the wrong reasons. God had given me a heart to serve others, and to be a mirror of His love in the world. But instead, I turned that mirror on myself, and I became consumed with how others saw me. So now, what is different now? Now, I am discovering the real me. I talked about that earlier in this episode. What happens when we are not being the real woman that God created and calls us to be? Now I'm discovering the real me without the masks. And I gotta tell you, it feels like freedom. It feels like freedom. Whenever I wonder why I'm here or what my purpose is, in this life, in this season, in this day, or in just this moment, I look to the artist who is still creating this masterpiece. He's still working on me, and he has the answers to why I'm here and who I am. I have learned to seek and discern and act on His will, knowing that He equips me to do that with exactly what I need in every moment of every day. I still want to please others, but only with authentic love that looks like God's love, that is an imitation of His love. It comes from a heart of service instead of seeking approval. Now I have seen changes in my relationships with God and with myself and with others. I am learning that because I am seeking Him first, I can trust that God is guiding me in everyday tasks, so that I'm not constantly worried or constantly asking others if I'm doing it right. God has been up to some big things in my life, and I am so grateful to see all of it with new eyes, and to see the purpose in the struggles, and to know that I'm never alone in those struggles. when the storms rage around me, I can shift my focus and fix my eyes on Jesus. So much easier now than I could before. So, that's my story. If you are seeing yourself in any of this that I have said today, in this episode, send me a private message on social media, either on Facebook or Instagram, or drop a comment with this episode and I will reach out to you. Let's set up a time to explore whether God is guiding you to life coaching. We can chat soon about how I can support you, and I would love to be there with you and walk with you as you work toward being the woman that God created and calls you to be. Also, I want to remind you that, and also if this is your first episode that you're hearing, that I have a free ebook that you can download, and it is a guide to overcoming fear. And I will leave that link in the description of this episode so you can find it there. And until next week, God bless you and all those that you love. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.